Rose, and today I'll be presenting the negotiation between 20th Century Fox and the cast of Futuram. Like the main character, Fry, Futurama was reanimated in the summer of 2009, set to air new episodes the next year after not premiering a new episode for network television in nearly 7 years. The animated series chronicles the day-to-day adventures of Philip J. Fry, who finds himself in the 21st century after being unexpectedly cryogenically frozen New Year's Eve 1999. The satire-rich cult classic ran on Fox for 4 seasons as a part of their Sunday animation domination block before being canceled in 2003. Reruns on Cartoon Network's Adult Swim lineup increased the show's notoriety and even encouraged a series of direct-to-DVD movies. The success of those DVDs, in addition to that of the series box sets, added syndication from Comedy Central and Cartoon Network, proved that the time couldn't have been more right to welcome Futurama back to the world of tomorrow. Having previously been interested in reviving the show Frozen in Limbo, Comedy Central struck a deal with the show's production studio, 20th Century Fox, to do so. The announcement came early summer 2009 that the studio would produce 26 new episodes of Futurama, with the Viacom-owned cable network on board to air the new episodes beginning mid-2010. The show's producers, as a part of the press release, also said that the original voice cast will return, something that in fact at the time was not true. Negotiations broke down as the cast in 20th Century couldn't resolve differences over the star-studded cast's salary. 20th and Comedy Central, meanwhile, were already formulating ways to cut costs of production to make the show that started on Fox Network feasible for its run as a revival on Comedy Central. It is speculated that the cast originally asked for $75,000 an episode salary, a request that was later reduced to $40,000 an episode. While the original $75,000 figure remains disputed, it is clear that after the dust settled, the studio offered more than its original offer, but the actors took less than their final request. 20th Century initially responded to the vocal cast request with disapproval. In addition, the studio put out a casting call to recast the show, including the lead roles voiced by Billy West, Katie Seagal, John DiMaggio, Maurice LaMarche, and Tress MacNeille. In good faith that an agreement would be made, the stars attended the San Diego Comic-Con to meet and interact with the fans that loved them so adamantly. Though show's producers Matt Groening and David Cohen had faith that the cast they also loved to voice the series will return, the thespians were still not included in Futurama's official panel discussion at the expo. However, on the last day of June, shortly after the events at the expo, the two parties came to an agreement. Positions. 20th Century stood by the return of the show and maintained the cast requests were unfavorable. They even released this statement: "We love the Futurama voice performers and absolutely wanted to use them, but unfortunately we could not meet their salary demands. While replacing these talented actors will be difficult, the show must go on. We are confident that we will find terrific new performers to give voice to Matt and David's brilliant, submersive characters." Members of the cast were excited about the show's reboot and the idea of the return, but felt their commitment and portrayals went unappreciated by the behemoth studio. As best put by Katie Seagal, the voice talent behind Leela, the actors felt that it was deserving of a 6-season salary, and the studio wasn't willing to offer that. Interests. 20th Century Fox was interested primarily in cutting costs of the show. In order to be financially feasible for a cable network, it would need to undertake a leaner operation than previously done on the Fox network. 20th wound up cutting the size of the writing staff, but also shortened the delivery schedule for the show in each episode. It's not too surprising that they saw no interest in higher pay for the stars. The voice talent remained honest about their interests. They felt their hard work had done well beyond its duty in increasing the property's value for 20th Century. Who could imagine new voices for the one-eyed mutant thought alien, the troubled newfound optimist lost in time, and the lovable old bender, a bending unit defying its programming? For the proven industry veterans who played these roles, there was no replacement for their commitment to their role. Clearly, they wanted the show to go on with all its original parts. BATNA. While both sides wanted to come to a mutual agreement, each had its own alternative to negotiation. 20th made theirs pretty clear. The show must go on, and recasting the show, while not the most favorable option for the fans, was their alternative to negotiation. From the cast point of view, the show was a staple in their careers, but other works had since blossomed. Specifically in the case of Katie Seagal, a regular on FX's Sons of Anarchy, John DiMaggio, who is the voice of Bender, also voices Jake on Cartoon Network's Adventure Time, as well as Gears of War video game hero Marcus Phoenix. He had countless roles in between the show and while also doing the show. Billy West, the voice of Fry, had previously worked in the 90s self-titled character animated series Doug, and recently was the voice of the red M&M in the popular Candies commercials. All sides had alternatives to negotiation, and in the event that an agreement was not to be made, of course 20th would carry on without the cast, and the show's voices would carry on with other work, film, other voiceover work, and maybe even commercials. Dirty tricks. The threats initially made by 20th Century to cast new vocal stars for the animated series was the primary dirty trick used in this negotiation. A scare tactic the studio had used before when the deal couldn't be made with the voice actors for another 20th Century property, The Simpsons. The threat and psychological abuse that came along with it had little effect on the cast, as they cordially continued to pursue a deal with the studio in good faith. The studio took their attacks to the next level when they disinvited the cast to the San Diego Comic-Con panel a few days before it was set to take place. Again, the actors remained pacific, but continued building relationship with the fans, a defense that worked well as fans flooded the lines of communication to Scott Muller, the show's casting director, demanding the casting call be rescinded. Appreciation. Both sides showed appreciation for the other, both explicitly and inexplicitly. 20th showed its love for the cast and enthusiasm to bring them back on in the statement mentioned earlier. But business is business, and above the respect for the cast, they felt that the show must go on without them, if need be. Members of the cast, like John DiMaggio, the voice of Bender, spoke out to address the negotiations as they happened. He, like the rest of the cast, had nothing negative to say, but remained optimistic as he had when he told IGN he was hopeful a deal would be made. The cast went even farther to show up at the San Diego Comic-Con. Although they weren't included in the panel discussion, their presence created further buzz for the return of the show and displayed a level of respect for the fans and the studio well beyond words. Other cast members even took to their Facebook page to express their gratitude for being a part of the show. In the end, the show lived on, an agreement was reached over an undisclosed salary, and it brought the entire cast back. Everyone walked away a happy camper. This outcome is part due to the actors' approach to the studio's negotiation tactics. The ensemble cast handled what could have been negative emotions well. They kept their focus on returning to a job that they loved and giving the fans what they valued most. While 20th Century did seem fairly strong about recasting the show, I think this was a ploy, an effort that worked moderately well in that it did force talks between the two parties to continue as a result of all the negative feedback as fans mobilized. What went wrong was at the base of the negotiation. In changing networks, 20th became responsible for making the show feasible for its new run on Comedy Central. And as discussed, the production costs were cut, and 20th wanted to play hardball over a salary increase request by the cast. I'm certain that this was a meaningful relationship, specifically for the show's creators, Groening and Cohen, who have not only praised the studio, but also the actors for reviving the instant classic. I feel it was less so for 20th Century, who was altogether willing to recast the show just to save costs and keep the show in production to make money off of the show. Blame strongly pointed to the studio as it was announced that the series finale would be the close of the seventh season currently in progress, but in actuality, the show may have been too much for Comedy Central to take on. However, things do look promising for Futurama, as rumors have surfaced that Matt Groening may be looking to another network to be picked up. Who knows, maybe another run on Adult Swim, or even perhaps a reincarnation on Netflix is in the near future for this show. Again, I'd like to thank you for your time and listening to my explanation of the negotiation for 20th Century Fox and the Futurama cast. I really do hope they are not removed from the air here in September, but they are coming back again. I hope they're able to work something out, and thank you again for your time.